All right. Well, welcome to week two. Uh, how was week one? Any struggles? Any questions? Any thoughts? Issues? Getting week two? Getting week one under your belt? So you doing okay?
I'm doing good. I had a little bit of trouble with CLI, but I figured it out.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I can safely say now that I do not like CLI. I don't use CLI. Um, to me, CLI is just trying to make a job look harder than it is. I remember my first database position that I would bring up. It's not called CLI Microsoft SQL Server, it's just called the command prompt. I pull up the command prompt and I would do stuff there, and I realized just how much harder it is than just using the workbench, particularly when the workbench will um, do what they call autofill on you when you're writing your commands down. It'll autofill the comments and stuff. So it is what it is. All right. Cool. Well, I'm glad everyone had an easy week. That's pretty much the way the week's going to work. This week's slightly different. There is no writing assignment. There is a video assignment. I talked about that last week. The video assignment exists, so we don't have to use Proctorio. Um, so this week, the assignment in the what is the writing assignment is to add some stuff to the Possum Pets database. You'll have to write the code for that. I'm going to show you how to write that code today. Not for that, but just in general. We're going to go over that and just explain, make a quick video, 3 minute video, like what you were doing. So the video can be, you can create it, you can like upload it to Canvas as an MP4. You can put it on YouTube. You can put it anywhere as long as I have access to it and don't need a password to get in. Put it wherever you need to put it. Um, but it's a pretty easy thing to do. So this week, if we pull up modules into, before we get any further, I just want to remind everyone that I put this in announcements. I don't know whoever sees this or not. I take late work until week 10 because I learned I started doing this just before COVID hit, and I was doing this during COVID and then after COVID. And I have yet to have a semester where doesn't, someone in the class doesn't have a baby, doesn't lose someone in their family, doesn't have an accident, doesn't get COVID. Something happens. There's always something that happens because life loves to get in the way. So I have found that week 10 is a good place for me to stop taking late work. So if you something happens and you can't, I had one dude 1 year, he was in Nicaragua, and he emailed me and said he was something like the guerrilla army is outside my village and I'm hiding under a table. My work's going to be late. I'm not kidding. That was the actual conversation. And I'm like, dude, hide. Don't worry about the class. I'll pass you. Just don't die. So I'm pretty flexible on that. I figured Jesus will let you have late work, so I'm gonna let you have late work. All right. So there's that. So this week, um, the work this week is to work at learn and select from, where, group by, and order by clauses. We're going to talk about those. That's what your exercises are going to be about. That's what your quiz is going to be about. That is not what the writing assignment is about. I'll talk about those as well. The PowerPoint slides I think are working now. They weren't working for a while. I think I told you guys before we redid this last semester. We redid this entire curriculum and made a lot of changes. And the PowerPoint slides, when we uploaded our versions, the link wasn't there, so we had the IT people at the home office fix everything. So they should be available now. If they're not, let me know, and I'll try and get you a copy of them. Other than that, I'm just going to jump right into code if that's cool with everybody. All right. So I think I told you guys last week that there's two basic commands that you need to work with. There's DDL, which is data definition language, and DML, which is data manipulation language. DDL commands are what you're doing right now in your writing assignments, where you're creating tables, creating creating indexes, things like that. Um, DDLs are creating the schema for the database. DML stands for data manipulation language. That is data manipulation. You're manipulating the data to do what you want. Okay. So we're going to do some very, very simple. We're going to talk about the basic structure of a select query today, a basic structure of what we call DML. Um, and then we're going to go from there. Okay. So the two basic commands. Oops, the two basic commands to do a query are select and from. And I think I said last week, the great thing about Transact SQL is that it's English. It makes sense. If I say select column from table, that's English. You know what I'm talking about. So here I have select first name, last name, email from customer. It's a very, very simple query. And when I run it, it gives me my results. Okay. So super simple query. It gives me what I want. I tell it, select these columns here, and then from this table. Um, these are a little out of order, so I'm going to change the order on these. When I wrote these, I was just kind of writing them freehand and figuring out what I want to do as I was going along here. So move a little few things around. Okay. Okay. Now, select. I'm going to add another column. I'm going to add the order by. This tells me what. This tells me where. This tells me how to organize it. So select title from film, order by title, ascending, which means from A to Z. Okay. Just so you know, there is a descending. I do from Z to A. If I leave it blank like that, it's default ascending. It by default is A to Z. Select from order by. What do I want? Where do I want it from? And what order do I want you in? So here's a command that we don't see a whole lot of. I'm selecting the title and rental date from the film table. I'm ordering it by rental rate descending, but I have this limit 5. Any guesses as to what limit 5 does? It just gives me the top 5 results. If I did it without, it would give me everything. Give me over 1,000 rows, but I just want the first 5. Okay,
I have a question, Brother Sevik.
go for it.
Um, what is it? Are you usually going to be capitalize like having all uppercase words when you like for the commands at the beginning of each thing? Like you have all lowercase for the use Sequila at the top, but all the other commands are capitalized. Is that
So when I'm paying attention and doing the way I'm supposed to do it, the way I've been trained to write it, normally I try to put the commands in the capital letters and everything else in lowercase. It doesn't make a difference.
okay?
There
Make it
are,
stand out.
but
Sorry, does it just make it stand out
yes.
against the bit? Okay.
I mean, the good thing is when you're using the workbench, the blue ones, the blue words, the commands, the red are text, things like that. So when you see when it changes color, you know it's a command or there's something else going with it that it's not just a regular word. But for the purpose of standing out, I always do capital. There are some database engines that require it to be in all caps. This isn't one of them.
Okay.
So yeah, it's just personal preference. And you can always tell the code that I've written in a hurry versus the stuff that I've taken time to do. All right, so down here, what do I want? First name, last name, email. Where do I want it from customer? But now I've got a filter. Okay. So now I'm going to do where first name like. Now let me get a little. Grab this one. So let me look at this one first here. All right. So here I've got what do I want? Title, rating, and rental duration. What table film? And I just want it where the rating is PG. So I run that. So here I have title, rating, and rental duration. This tells me how to filter it. Okay. This filter has a bunch of different stipulations you can do with it. Um, the first is we've got equal, right? Everything has its opposite. So we have equal. I can also do this, which means not equal. So if I run this, it shows me everything that's not PG. Okay. Here I've got, so when I do this, the equal says whatever's in rating must be that exactly. It can't be anything. It must be that exactly. Here I've got what I want to say. I want the first name, last name, and email from customers, but where the first name is like a percent. So the percent is a wildcard operator. Okay. So what this is saying is show me everything where the first name starts with an A. And if I run this, it just gives me first names that start with an A. I can be so again, everything has its opposite, so I can do where not like, and then it gives me everything that's not like an A. Now, if you want to be super fancy, you can do this. So what this is saying is show me all the first name, last name, and email from the table customer where the first name is like, it starts with an A. I don't care what the second letter is. The third letter is a B, and then I don't care what's after it. Okay. You can get very, very granular with these where clauses. Very granular with these where clauses. I can do this. Show me where the last name ends in an A. I don't care what's in front of it. I just want to know it ends in an A. And I got all these all of a sudden. I can do uh, U underscore. So shows I don't care what's in front of it. I just know three letters from the end has to be a U. I don't care what there, and then the last letter has to be an A. That making sense? How granular you can get with this? Percent is a wild card, means I don't care how many letters are before it. That's just what it is. The underbar is one letter. I don't care what it is between these other two letters. I can do multiple underbars, you know. Okay. So here I've got inequality. Here I've got a like statement or not like. Now here I've got two statements. I want the title, rating, and rental duration. I want it from the film table, but I've got two criteria. I want it where it's PG and the rental duration is greater than 7. I have or there. There's two commands. There's or and there's and. Or means either can be true. I just want to know if one or the other is true. So if I run this, I've got PG and 6. I've got PG and 5. I've got PG and 7. As long as both of them are true, I mean one of the other is true, it's going to give me my stuff. If I change this to an and, both have to be true. And they're oh yeah, so there's nothing with a greater than 7. Okay. If it equals 7, I would get some results. Okay. So when I'm doing where clauses, when I'm doing my filters, I can give multiple criteria and I can say they both have to be true or all three have to be true or they both or one can be true and one can be false. It is what it is. Okay. And of course, we've got greater than, we've got less than, we've got not equal to. Get that whole litany of things, right? Now here, I have in. So this is a straight equality. This is a like statement where it's got to be similar to it, must be equal to, has to be like it, has to meet multiple criteria. And this one, same thing here, multiple criteria. With this one here, I'm giving it an array and I'm saying, okay, select first name, giving the first name and last name from actor, where the actor ID is in 1, 2, and 3. So when I look over here in actors table, we got the actor ID column, right? So if I run this, it's just going to show me the actor ID 1, 2, and 3. I can do not in, and it shows me everything else. Okay. Now, all of these, for all intents and purposes, are hard coded as to what you want the filters to be. I want it where the actor's ID is in 1, 2, and 3. That can't be changed. It's just the way it is. It's 1, 2, and 3. What we can do in queries is we can use subqueries to get our answer. So here I've got one, show me the first name, last name, and email address from the customer table where the customer ID is in. Give me the customer ID from the table address where the city is San Francisco. So I run this part and it gives me, oh, wait a second. Let me sort this code. I need to do it. Let's just do it this way. Um, oh, okay. Where's city ID? City ID in select city ID. From city. Okay, so there we are. Quick change on my part. So here, I'm selecting from customer. I'm selecting these from customer. Where city ID and city ID is in the customer table. Oh, I was looking at the address table. Hang on a second. I got this. I'm gonna try something super tricky here. just because I can. City ID. Press it here. Yep. Okay. So I've just done something you really, it's not, I've got multiple nestings here. So I've got nested queries. So I've got the first query is select customer, first name, last name, email from customer, address ID in. Then I've got a subquery here, selecting an address ID where the city is in here, and I've got a subquery here that gets me this. So if I run this, there's no result there. So before I do that, let me see what's in my city table. Let's do, wow, that's interesting. Let's do Aurora, because that's easy to spell. Okay. So here, select city ID where it's Aurora. That gives me a value. Select address ID where that's in Aurora. Okay. And if I run everything, I get that. So what I've done is instead of hard coding a value into the where clause, I've used a subquery to get that. Okay. It makes it less of hard coded and more dependent on other tables. So what these results were like if I added another person in that city, this result would get another result. Okay. Is everyone following that? Sorry, I had to rewrite that code while I was here, but did everyone kind of get it? Give me a thumbs up if you got this. All right. So, and then here I'm going to add this here. One, two, order by. So now I'm going to run this one here again, right? There are four parts. There's a select, a from, a where, and an order by. When you send this to the platform to run the query, it does not go in this order. So the the first thing that runs is the from clause. Okay. Because the most important thing to remember about database engines and databases in general is if the data is on the hard drive, you can't do anything with it. It just sits there. Okay. It's like if you've got a book on your bookshelf, you can't read it. It's got to be off your bookshelf and in your hands. So whenever you're working with data in a database, you've got to pull the data from the hard drive into the RAM. Does everyone understands RAM and stuff like that, right? Versus hard drive. Okay. So the first thing you do is the from clause. It takes whatever's in that from clause and pulls it into RAM. So it's an active memory. It's not hard drive. It's in the active memory. The next thing that happens is the where clause. Okay. Um, because you have that large table that's been pulled into memory, and now it's going to see what you were looking for in there, and it's going to get rid of anything that you weren't looking for. So pulls in film, gets rid of anything that isn't PG or rental is less than 7. The next thing it does is the order by. Okay. And then finally it does the select. And there's a reason for this because let's see. Oh no, sorry, it goes select order. Okay. So from where select, so it gets the table, it takes everything out, then it gets just the columns, and then it puts it in order for you. So this is the order. This is how the queries run. This is how the query runs in memory, but this is how you write it. Okay. There's a, there may still be a question on the quiz that asks about this. Okay. So here, this gets complicated. So when you run this, the first thing that runs is this from clause, then this where clause, and then this select clause, and then this from clause, and then this where clause, and then this select clause, then this from clause, then this where clause, and that select clause. That confuse everybody? Still with me? All right. Now, next we're going to talk about this group by command and this here. So this count and this average, these are referred to as aggregate functions. Okay, these are aggregate functions. What an aggregate function is, there's an aggregate function is when you take a column and it's a number-based column, or you're doing a number and you take it and you aggregate the numbers together. So if you look at this, so for example, I'll give you the example we're talking about here. Select average rental rate from average rate from film. So what this is going to do, it's going to look all the rental rates in the entire table, and then give me the average of it. Okay, that's what that does. So here I've got select customer ID count as rental count from rental. So here from the rental table, here it's going to give me the customer ID and then how many videos that customer rented. Change the name of that column to rental. I'm going to show you this. I'll show you this here. Okay. From rental, we're going to group by. This group by is incredibly important. Okay. Whenever you're using an aggregate function in a query, and you have a column that is not being aggregated. So this column is being aggregated, this one isn't. Whenever you have a column that is being aggregated, you need a group by column that names all the non-aggregated columns so it knows not to aggregate them. So if I run this without the group by, I get an error because it doesn't know how to aggregate it. So if I run this with the group by in it, I get customer 1 rated 32 videos to 27 videos. Okay. Aggregate functions, and we're going to talk more about these later. Aggregate functions take numeric values and works math with them. There's count, there's average, there's max, there's min, there's mean, there's any math function you think of, there's an aggregate function for. Any questions on any of this? Nope. All right. Joe's speaking, everybody. I just see him shaking his head. Please jump in. If there's something you don't get, let me know. I can explain this. Um, if I know which direction to go in. The one thing I will say about the whole the from clause going first, that's why it's so important. We're going to talk about this in a couple weeks, but when you're designing databases and tables, it's important to choose your data types right because data types just define how big your table can get. And if you're pulling in a table into memory and that table is 17 gigs big, you got to have 17 gigs of memory for it to all go in there, or it causes problems. And you might think a 17 gig table is big, but it really isn't. I think right now at my day job, our biggest database that we support is 250 terabytes, and the largest table in that database is a terabyte. So tables can get pretty heavy. So any questions on DML language? All right, moving on to this. So in today's assignment, in the writing assignment this week, you're going to be asked to alter a table, create a table, and create indexes. Okay. So here I'm going to go. So I've got my Sakilla database, and in my Sakilla database, I got a customer table. Go to Sakilla 2. That makes a change. I've got a customer table, and in there I've got a column called membership status. Well, we've decided to stop that program. We're not doing that anymore. So we need to get rid of that column. So here, it's a very simple command. It's alter table, drop column membership status, and then it goes away. And if I refresh this, it's gone. Now, that's pretty easy, right? If I want to add the column, I can go back and add it. I've got the code over here to add it. If I want to add the column, just alter table customer, add membership status, and give it a data type, integer. That's that. Okay. I want to create a table. And this what I'm about to show you isn't in your assignment. It's a command that we don't talk about, but it's cool to know. It's a good command to know. So here we've decided that if you look in the Sakilla database, which is a movie database, I've got an actor table, I've got a customer table, but I don't like if I want, and I got film actor, right? But I don't know like if there's a director, who the producer is, who's working behind the scenes. So I want to have that in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a people table, okay? And I'm going to give it a person ID, make it an integer, make it auto increment, which means I don't have to put it in there. It'll insert on its own, and make it the primary key. And the primary key means it's the most important index on this table. It's the one the default sort will be on. So every table is sorted on a column. If you don't tell it which one it's going to be, it picks one. Don't trust it. It's not smart enough to pick one on its own. You tell it which one it's going to be. And that one's the primary key. That's the one that's the ID of that column, the most important table, the column rather. So here, I'm making person ID. I'm making it an integer. It's auto increment, which means the number itself, and it's the primary key. I got a first name, last name, and here I've got a column I'm calling role, but I've got this command called enum. Okay, basically what this is, it's a data consistency protection tool. So it'll create this column in the table people, but the only things that can go in there are whatever I have here. So in the table people in the column role, only the words director or producer can go in there, nothing else. If you try to put stagehand or producer, or rather assistant producer like that, it's going to fail. Like that. Okay. I'm going to create another table called movie people. Going to have the film ID, small int, unsigned, not null, auto increment. Person ID is an integer. And then I've got these two foreign keys. Okay. The first foreign key is on the foreign key is on the film ID column, and it references the film table and film ID. The second foreign key is the person ID column from this table, and it references the people table and the person ID column there. What foreign keys do is it ensures data consistency, because if it's not in this table, it can't be in this table. Okay. So again, if it's not in the film table, it can't be in the movie people table. If it's not in the people table, it can't be in the movie people table. This ensures you don't have rogue data, which means if you try to delete from the people table and there's a value in the movie people table, it won't go. If you try to insert into movie people before you insert into people, it won't go. It has to be here first. It can be here second. It has to leave here first. It has to leave here second. Make sense? I'm going to create a table called rental services. Here, I have a rental table, but I don't know what service is being done. Is it a movie rental? Is it a VCR? Oh, you don't have VCRs anymore. We don't have movie rental places either. So back, in my youth, we had Blockbuster. We'd rent videos. We'd rent VCRs. We'd rent gaming systems. We'd rent games. So here I'm going to have a rental service. There's going to be a service ID, what the service is, what the name is, and what the cost is. Okay. And then here I'm going to have a rental service link. So I've got a rental ID. I've got a rental ID as an integer. I've got service ID as an integer, and then two foreign keys. Foreign key rental ID must exist in the rental table, and service ID must exist in the rental service ID table. So this table links these two. So did I create that table yet? I did. Let me create this table here. Okay. So now I'm going to insert some values into here, right? So I'm inserting to people. And when you do insert statements, you don't have to put that there, but it helps if you do, because then it knows what columns you're inserting into. Because here, there are actually four columns in people. There's person ID, first name, last name, and role, right? But here, I'm doing first name, last name, role because people ID or person ID is auto increment, so I don't have to put anything in there. But if I leave this blank and I try to run these inserts, I get an error. Column count doesn't match value count at row one. So here I'm putting in three values, but it knows there are four columns. So it immediately says this isn't going to work. So when I do this, it says, I know there are four columns, but we're only putting into three of them. And the first thing you're going to see is the first name. The second thing you're going to see is the second name. And the last thing you're going to see is the role that they're going to be in. So we got Spielberg, Nolan, Kennedy, producer, right? So when I run this, it's going to insert. So if I do this real quick. There's nothing in there right now. If I run this, four rows were inserted. I do select start from people. And I have the IDs were there, auto incremented, and then my stuff's there. Now you'll see here, I've got the format is insert into what table you're going to, and then the command expands values until you put it in. Each line you're inserting has to be on a separate thing with a comma separated. So you can just, push through, put them all here, make sure there's a comma separated and a semicolon at the end. So you insert four rows. Here's the data. It goes in like that. So here I'm inserting into movie people. We're associating film one to ID one, to film ID one, to person ID one, blah, so on and so forth. So if I run this will work. Oh, wait, hang on a second. It's not the... Oh, there's no, So this is failing because it says cannot update a foreign key constraint for movie people. The constraint is not working because, let's take a look at this. So this is a good error to have. So I got this error down here. And it's saying there's a bad constraint in film ID. So I've got film ID 1, 2, 3, 1 and 2, 1 and 2. So let me look at the film table. There's nothing in the film table. Let me fix that real quick. There's my actor table. There's my dress table. That is probably not the city table. Okay. That's the film table here. Okay, I got that's problems. So you'll see those foreign keys. I'm getting these foreign keys issues, so I can't put the stuff in because my foreign keys aren't there. So where's film languages? I can't think of this. But anyway, so you're seeing the errors, which is fine. I'm okay with this. So that's the problem we're having. I can't do this because of the film error, the errors. So here I go ahead. I think that table's empty too. So none of my tables have ever populated. So this is where the problem comes in. Um, all right. So let me do it this way. So if I just so let me just go. I'm going to go with that. Fine. So we'll go here and create my people table and Villa. Okay. We create my movie people table. That works fine. Create my rental services table. Okay. Create here. So now I'm going to insert into my film table. That works because now I've got data in the film table. So that's working because there's stuff there now. So I do. I now have values there. Okay. If I try doing this, to show you this error when it gets thrown. Oh my heavenly days. There we are. If I try to run this, I get an error because it can't be there. Remember I said if it's not one of these two, it can't be there. So insert in my rental services, insert into my rental IDs. Okay. So when you're creating your tables and you got foreign keys here, remember, if the data doesn't exist where it's being referenced from, you can't ever put it in that table. And I'd like to say I planned those errors on purpose, but I'm beta testing this stuff, so I just wrote this. I wrote this code this morning as I was working on stuff. So that's the dangers of writing code without testing it first. It also, and I don't mind making mistakes in front of you guys because it's okay to make mistakes. This is a learning process, so feel free to make mistakes. Nothing in database is unforgivable that you can't get it back. Okay. That ends my stuff that I need to talk about for you guys today. Do y'all have any questions, comments, concerns, thoughts? Anecdotes, dad jokes. Nope. Kristen, you good? Lewis, you good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. Okay. So if there's no Lewis, you good? Sweet. All right, guys. Well, I appreciate you coming out tonight. Next week, we're going to talk a lot about the final project, because I think it's a really cool thing, and I love when people do final projects because they're fun for me to grade. Um, and then next, we're going to start talking about designing databases after the initial outlay of code. So if there's nothing else, I will give you 10 minutes back to your night to go have fun doing something else. And I will talk to you guys next week.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye,
Thank
guys.
you.